So hello, welcome to this video today. This is a video of a root canal treatment from absolute start to finish. We're talking decay removal, we're talking shaping, we're talking finding MB2, and we're also talking about obturating with a bioceramic sealer, so using a single cone technique in this instance. Okay, so this is a really nice case. If we look at the x-ray here, it's a bit of a spicy tooth to carry out. Okay, so and what I mean by that is the buccal roots are all long and spindly and a bit windy, and then we've got a humongous palatal canal. So there's going to be challenges there in how to shape and disinfect and also obturate all of these three different types of canals. So the very first thing we've got to do is we've got to remove all of the decay. It's really important to do this prior to shaping the canal, because sometimes if you miss a little bit of decay or a little filling, you'll find that if you try and remove this where the canals are nice and wide open, the little fragments can drop down and block. So I know the palatal canal in this instance is very wide, and I'm just going to get a little bit of low-hanging fruit here, and I'm going to just straight away take the working length check of this palatal canal, and it goes really nice and easy to length. And sometimes it can just be a little bit tricky to see if you're trying to get to length if the canal is very long and you're only using a size 25 or a length 25 K file. And for some reason, usually what I do is I will find the working length for a certain canal, I will shape and disinfect that canal and then move on to another. But I feel like the DB and the MB actually is probably a wide open canal, and for some reason today I feel like I'll just get the working lengths on all of them all at the same time. And again, I'm having that kind of same problem with the distal buccal canal that I did with the palatal. Is I just feel like the length of the file just isn't long enough for me to get to the working length and also get the sort of the apex located clip onto this tooth. And again, same with the mesobuccal canal, just getting the working length here. And what I am doing is I am getting the working length and I'm pushing the file ever so slightly just past the working length and then bringing it back, and that's the working length that I take. So I'm going to do some shaping with HyFlex 2005. The vast majority of this canal in the coronal third is quite wide, and really the shaping is probably only just the apical third. And I'm going to irrigate again with lots of sodium hypochlorite. And again, I'm not entirely sure about the working length on this DB. So what I do like to do is I like to shape the canals. Open the canals up maybe 3 millimeters back from the working length, and then take another working length x-ray. I've found in the past that sometimes I've taken the working length, I've shaped it, and then because I've shaped it, it's sort of lessened the curve on the in the canal, and it's shortened the working length. And as you can see here, now I'm using a size 31 K file, and it just gives me that extra leg room just to be very careful with my watch winding, and also I can just put the clip on nice and easy, and it isn't just a fiddle. And I don't probably actually need a 31 size, but it's just making my life a little bit easier. And again, same with the DB, lots of space, just making my life much easier. And I can, I've got loads of space to move the rubber stopper, and I can shape, I can sort of twiddle the file really nice and easily. So I'm going to do the final shaping of all the canals. I'm going to use the HyFlex 2005 again, and just rechecking the working lengths here. And now I've assessed that I've got 3 canals. There isn't obviously an MB2 in this situation. We've got the DB, we've got the MB, and then we've got the palatal here. And at this point, I'm thinking to myself, I just need to kind of investigate this area here, because at the moment it doesn't look obviously that there is an MB2 in this situation, but I'm going to use some ultrasonics just to kind of remove some of the dentin, and actually with the microscope I can see that there's a possibility of a small fold of dentin that moves over the top of like a kind of like an invagination in the cavity floor here. So I've got this D600 ultrasonic unit, which is absolutely fantastic. And what I use this is they've got like they come with diamond tipped ultrasonic tips, and the great thing about these diamond tips is they remove. They're not too aggressive with the dentin removal. So if you were, say, to use a fast handpiece down there, you know, you're playing with fire. If I'm being honest with you, the head of the fast handpiece sort of obscures your view, so you don't really know where you're going. And also as well, you know, you can really easily perforate. The great thing about these diamond tipped ultrasonic tips is that you can see exactly what you're removing, and the removal is really sort of minor and controllable. Of course, on the ultrasonic unit, you can increase the intensity of the energy, or you could decrease the intensity of the energy. Of course, the risk of increasing the energy on these diamond tips is that you risk fracturing them. So I suppose fracturing a diamond tip when you're in the cavity, you know, proper of the tooth is not so much an issue. But if you're using these ultrasonic tips down a canal to remove, you know, a shelf of dentin, or you've fractured a file, you have to be really careful about not putting too much energy on them, because they will break. They will break, and if you use them over a long period of time, they're more likely to break. So I've removed the dentine shelf here, and I can see that there's possibly something going on. Maybe it's difficult to say. I'm just going to sort of investigate the orifice with a size 10K file. I suppose you could argue that there's such a small space, maybe you should use an 8 or a 6, but I think the size 10K file in this situation is small enough to negotiate some kind of canal orifice, but it's stiff enough to kind of push its way through. Sometimes you get a size 6 and it's just not strong enough, you know, and it bends before it it can negotiate safely. So I am just very gently watch winding here, and I know that this size 10K file is ever so slightly starting to move down. But we have to be super careful in this situation, because I have fractured files at this level before, and yes, they're easy to remove, but it's just something that I just don't like making a habit of doing. So once I've scouted with a size 10K file, I've now started to use these glide path files, and this is a HyFlex 1503. I absolutely love this file. It's just you know, it's so flexible, it's very strong, and you can just in this situation, what I do is I just let the file just pull its way in. I don't push down quite hard on this file, I just let it do the work, okay? And it just, for some reason, it just wants to go its own way, and it just follows the shape of the canal. I'm just going to irrigate now. I'm just going to sort of visualize what the canal orifice looks like. And then what I am going to do is I have measured how far down this glide path file goes, and I have measured my HyFlex 2005 just to open up the orifice space. And some root canal dentists or endodontists would say, let's, you know, preserve tissue, but I just feel like I think you've just got to open up a little bit. I think it makes the gliding of the subsequent files just flow better, and that's just my personal opinion. And yeah, I'm just now I have shaped the coronal third. The mid third now just drops even further. a revelation which I've probably mentioned many times in all these videos is that if you can't get to length, it's usually where the file is binding further up the canal. So if you open up that part of the canal, it's more likely to drop further apically. So another file I absolutely love, and I just rave about them all the time, are these D-finders. So these D-finders are like magical files, and I have now started to scout the apical thirds of almost all really sclerosed or calcified canals with these D-finders. I feel like if you put a tiny little bend on the end and you just watch wind, it just drops to the apex. And here I've just taken working length and I've found the working length here, and now I'm just going to full shape. So I know I've got a glide path with this D-finder, and now I'm just using the rotary glide path file all the way to length. So I'm not opening it up any further. I trust this 1503. And what you've got to be careful of is you need to, if don't push the file. You just don't need to push the file at all. You just need to make sure it goes its own way. And if it gets to a point where you have to push it, you pull it out and use the D-finders, and then full shaping with a HyFlex 2005. And like same again, if you feel like this file is having to be pushed to length, you need to bring it out. You need to then do your same protocol again with the D-finder, with the glide path. The temptation to push the final shaping file or any file to length just to get it that last little bit is always immense, because there's always time pressures. But it's really important. If you ledge that tooth, then obviously you're going to find it difficult to bypass that and disinfect appropriately. So now here we've got 4 lovely open shaped and disinfected canals. The MB, I believe, is convalescent or joins with the MB2 and the MB1 are convalescent essentially. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to prepare for the cone fit radiograph. And in this case, what I like to do is I like to obviously fit my cones, and I like to chop off obviously to get to back there, and I like to chop off my GP cones at the working length. And I like to do this because when I am obturating, I know that wherever the GP is being cut, I just know that is at the point where it's to length. Usually with these bioceramic cases, that you can sometimes get taper lock, and of course in this case with the DB I couldn't get a length on my GP point, so I just have to do a little bit of final shaping there and a little bit of irrigation. And actually when I fit this DB cone, it fits to length. So don't be afraid to sometimes you fit the cones and it's like, oh, it's a millimeter off, I'll just do it. Do you know what, it just never works out. So it's always really important just to make sure you're always at that working length. And the palatal here is like I say, is really wide in the coronal third, but when you fit this to length, it narrows in the apical third. So a size 20 is more than enough. And now we're doing the MB2 cone fit, and you'll notice here that because they are convalescent, this MB2 cone doesn't fit to length. And if, just to prove my point here, if I pull out the MB1 here, I can then push this MB2 to length. So I'm going to choose the MB1 to be my main canal, as I like to say, the main obturating canal, and I'm going to do my MB2 as the kind of accessory, as we'd like to call it. I know it's not accessory. So when I come to obturate, I'm going to obturate the MB1 first, and again, we're just going to cut it off. So if we look at the x-ray here, it's the patient moved. It's a terrible x-ray, but I feel like I am happy with the working length of this, I can just about work out that I'm happy that all the GPs are at the correct working length, so I'm not going to take another x-ray. The final kind of step with this disinfection is my irrigant activation. So in this case, I'm using sodium hypochlorite, and I am going to activate it with my ultrasonic activator. I think this is the 18th Ultra X. This is a fantastic unit. You're obviously irrigating all the time, but as you just irrigating with no activation, the irrigant just looks nice and clear. But you fill a tooth with sodium hypochlorite, and then you use this activation. You can see now that all that kind of detritus and all that sort of the mess that's on the walls of the canal just start to dislodge, and this is a very satisfying feeling. And before I had the ultrasonic activator, you just thought everything was nice and clean. But I would strongly suggest that you get some kind of activation unit. And now we're just going to use paper points, and remember, the paper points need to be completely dry. Don't be tempted to dry off your canals, and if you can't get it dry, just obturate it anyway. It's really, really important. Sometimes I just can't get, once I've got to this point and I can't get it dry, on occasion, you just have to redress and get the patient back in. So I'm going to use a bioceramic sealer today, in this case, and it's called One Fill. And then connected to the One Fill, I'm using these visco tips. So it's kind of like a metal tip with like a sleeve plastic which sort of gets down the canal, and I am just filling the coronal to mid-third with bioceramic, and I'm just cutting off the top of the cone. And the great thing about the bioceramic is it doesn't shrink when it sets. So once you push that hard to length, you're gonna get all that bioceramic to fill all the kind of irregular anatomy inside the tooth. And if you notice there as well, the bioceramic filled the MB2 canal. And again, say it once, say it 1,000 times. Don't be scared to push this nice and hard to length. So if you've apically gauged properly, give it a good old push, and that'll get it all into all the little nooks and crannies. And another thing I would say about using a bioceramic is you've got to be super, super careful with heat. So you'll notice if you get your heated plugger and you touch the bioceramic with it, it goes like a kind of like clay consistency, and there's that problem, of course, because if it's a clay consistency, when you're pushing another GP to length or whatever, it just won't go, and it's a bloody nightmare. But another thing that I've been told is that if you use the heated plugger too vigorously in the canal, it desiccates it, and of course the bioceramic relies on moisture to set. So we've got the palatal canal here. This is a beastie canal, and don't forget we've got a very, very thin apical diameter, but the coronal to mid-third is huge. And the great thing about this bioceramic is that basically I've just filled the whole mid and coronal third with bioceramic. In other cases, here I'm just slowly pushing it to length, by the way. In other cases, you'd have to use lots of accessory canals, or you would fill this and think it was okay and took an x-ray and it looked like there was huge voids in it. So this bioceramic's absolutely fantastic. All I'm doing here is I've deliberately sort of roughly cut off the top of the GP point here, and the kind of sort of mushroom shape that's created, I'm now using that as kind of like a sort of a blocker, because when you wash out like this, if you didn't have that all blocked up, then the bioceramic would wash away. And again, I'm not scared about pushing this hard to length. I'm not scared. I really, really, really want to get the bioceramic to be really well condensed inside the canal, and yeah, looks nice and clean. Great thing about bioceramic as well is that it just washes away nice and easy. Then to finish this off, we're going to coronal seal with GIC. Again, this is a a controversial subject. Some people just like to, seal it over with composite. I still like to use GIC. I feel like it's a it's a good material. And now I'm just using this SDR, and I can't, you got to check out SDR. It's absolutely fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It's a bulk flow composite. So if we look at the X-ray here, it looks really, really nice. It's I've got a nice little bit of a sealer puff. Maybe you could argue there's a little bit of lateral anatomy. And look at the size of that palatal canal. The palatal canal is huge, and to fill that adequately is just made so much easier with a bioceramic. So there you go. There you have it. If you like these videos, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, bye bye.